Hey everybody, Bandit here, and this is devlog number 3 for the Mine Hero add-on for Palladium. Right off the bat, I'm just going to tell you guys this devlog is going to be a lot shorter than all of the other ones, and that's because the only thing I've really done is attempted a quirk implementation, and I didn't even finish it yet. There's a couple of reasons why I didn't finish it. Not only is it the most complicated of the quirks that I've done so far, but it's also one of the most important ones, so I'm trying to make sure I get it right. But also I had a lot of other things going on this week, like family coming over, and for whatever reason I was just really distracted and couldn't stay focused. So all of that accumulated into this, which is an incomplete devlog, but I'm still going to show it to you anyway because, you know, devlogs are meant to show progress, and I also said this was weekly, so you can't sue me for not being weekly. Also, this is really important. I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below and in my Discord, which you can join in the description. I want you to tell me the things you like about this quirk, what you don't like, and suggestions for other mechanics about it in the future. Like I said, I have spent a lot of time already kind of working out all of the kinks for this. I'm still not satisfied with it, but hopefully I can explain today what my goal was and you guys can give your suggestions and feedback about it. I really appreciate all of your comments down below telling me what to change and what to fix. As I said, I kind of implemented one new quirk, and what is that quirk? It is Power Stock. Some of you may not know what Power Stock actually is because, to be honest, I didn't even realize that this was the name of it until I actually Googled it. Power Stock is the quirk that allows One for All, which is Deku's quirk from the anime or manga. It allows One for All to have all of the power. So it is the stockpiling quirk that allows him to save up power over time and transfer that power between users. That power then can enhance the physical body, but also the quirks that the person has. And apparently it's called Power Stock, which I didn't know. If you're familiar with the NBC Heroes add-on in Palladium, he has a power called Stockpile, which is pretty much the exact same thing as this. Now, I just want to get this out of the way and say I did not go through and try to copy his implementation. He did do a similar implementation, but everything that he did is pretty much what the quirk would do itself. Some of the things you're going to see definitely have a few similarities, but just know I did everything myself, so I'm not trying to copy him with anything. It's just kind of how the quirk works out. But you'll definitely see there's probably going to be a lot of differences between mine and that implementation, so let's just get into it. All right, so I've given myself the Power Stock quirk, and right away there is a single ability. I'm not going to show you the upgrade tree because the upgrade tree doesn't actually do anything. I didn't put anything in there yet. So if I go ahead and activate my scoreboard on the right, you can see I have a stored value. Now, this is not something that you're going to be able to see when you're in survival, which actually, if you want to be able to see your stored energy, let me know down in the comments. Pretty much we have this value that represents how much energy we have stored over time. So obviously right now I just got the quirk, so I'm starting at 0 stored power and it's going to slowly increase. Throughout the video, we'll see it going up, and you may notice that there doesn't really seem to be a certain way that it's going up. It seems kind of random, and that's because it is. With the goal of trying to make this unique to not only each player, but also to other add-ons, the amount of energy that you store up is actually random. So there's a small percent chance that every tick the energy stored will actually go up. It is random to give it a little bit of uniqueness. So that's the first thing that I had to implement, and that's just the start. You can see it's not really doing anything to our physical stats. We're still just normal here. We don't jump higher, we don't run faster, nothing like that. But in order to actually access that, I've implemented the full cowling ability. I'm sure you've read the manga or watched the anime, so you know that Deku uses full cowling to distribute the power evenly to all of his appendages. So in order to activate it, you actually have to press and hold the ability button, and you'll get this pretty cool animation happening. And there we go, we have full cowling activated. The symbol down below has changed. It'll have a custom symbol in the future, but now pressing it again will actually deactivate full cowling. So we can just, again, hold this, and if you let go prematurely, it will just stop. So you do actually have to charge it up like that and do the little animation. And you could see by my FOV change, I did actually speed up just a teeny tiny bit. My damage did not go up, but that's just because we only have 40 stored energy. The more energy we have, the more that full cowling will actually increase our stats. The stats that it increases are our speed, our armor, our max health, our fall resistance, and our strength value. It also increases swim speed, which I just forgot about. So again, we're not really doing anything special right here because we only have 40 stored energy, but I do want to show you we can hold shift at any time and actually scroll up and scroll down to change the percentage that full cowling is actually using. This percentage can go from 0 to 100% right now, and it does take a second to get up to 100, and actually apparently only goes to 99. But by switching it to this percentage, you then actually use all of the power that you have stored. So in this case, 100% is just 40 stored power, and we can see 40 is not really that much. It increases it to 0.1 strength, and we can't really notice any sort of difference in our speed or jump or anything like that. And again, that's because 40 is such a small number. We also notice that our stored energy is not rising while full cowling is activated. If I turn this off and we just give it a few seconds to randomly accumulate, and there we go, it's just increased a little bit. The reason I did this is because I don't want people to just sit here with full cowling on and AFK with it. In the future, I'm thinking of putting some anti-AFK measures in so people can't just sit and charge up their stored energy, but that's a future thing, I think. All right, but that is full cowling, and again, it's not too impressive because we do only have 48 energy, but later in the video, I will show what happens when we increase that. In fact, let's actually just increase it right now. Temporarily, we're gonna have to use a command in order to increase the stored energy. So we can actually increase it to, let's say, just 500. And there we actually have unlocked a second ability. Now, once this is actually finalized, we will have an upgrade point or use the upgrade system for this. Right now, they're just coded to only unlock if you have a certain amount of power stored. So we've gotten up to 500 power and we've unlocked the second ability, which is called Power Smash. In order to use the Smash ability, we have to hold the ability similar to how we have to hold the full cowling ability in order to charge it up. So I'm going to hold the second ability key, and we can see it is charging from 0 to 100%. And we can also see that it's changing. Okay, it's getting loud. Let's just let go of this. There we go, 16.2 damage. I don't know if you saw, but as we were increasing the number, we see the color change from safe to safe with yellow. That is something I'm going to go into more detail just a little bit later, but the general idea is that there's a certain percentage of power that you can use before hurting yourself, and that indicator is going to tell you what that power is. At any point above 20%, you can let go of the smash ability and do damage at that percent. So if we let go, for example, at 32%, we can see we're doing 6 damage. If we let go at 40%, we can see we do 8 damage. This also does a lot of knockback to mobs. So if we're doing this and do that a little bit, that was a little hit from him, but he did actually fly a little bit. Let's see what 100% does to this poor cow. He might go flying. Oh, he just instantly died. But yeah, the knockback is not too great right now because we do only have 500. And note, the damage is kind of a lot. I will admit 16 damage this easy for the quirk is definitely a lot. I will be tweaking the equations. And again, I'll talk about the equations just a little bit in the future here. But that's pretty much what Power Smash does. It just does a smash ability that does a bit of damage, and that actually scales with the stored power. Let me give myself 1500 energy to unlock the fourth ability. This is going to be our jump ability. So this is used the same way as Power Smash. We just hold it and we can see it charges up, and when we let go, it actually just flies us up a little bit to do a nice little jump. Here we're gonna get it up to 100%, I think. There we go, and let go. And then we fly up and we can kind of soar down. Right now, you do take fall damage when you land. However, there are ways to get over that, which we'll talk about. But that's pretty much all this ability does, is it's a nice leap into the air to kind of get some height. And I don't remember what the actual percentage or the actual energy requirement for the third ability is, but I just gave us up to 2,500, and this unlocks the Power Ray Smash. What this one allows you to do is do a destructive punch, a way more destructive punch than just the single target that the second ability is here. So if I hold this third ability, we can see we're charging up the smash, and once we get it up to 100% and let go, it does a nice little air effect, and we've actually smashed some of the area around us. Already off the bat, we can see it did 23 damage and had a radius of 5 with a 5 range. That's just some debug information for now, just to kind of show me what the different percentages do. But again, this this is based on percentage. So if I do this, it went down to 8 damage, and that was about 15% or something like that. What's cool with this ability is that you can use it to do a lot of environment damage. So for example, if I looked at this mountain and let go, we just punched a hole right into that mountain. So that's trying to capture All Might's, super ability to just do a single punch and then cause a lot of area damage. And I think this ability kind of captures that pretty well. It does have kind of a few bits of particle effects around you too, and obviously you can hear the potentially really loud bell ringing, but it allows you to do quite a bit of damage. So those are the abilities specifically that I implemented, and I would like to talk to you about the systems that kind of make them work. So as I said before, the amount of stored power does actually affect what these abilities do. So if I just went ahead and increased my max to say 12,000. Now, if I hold the leap, for example, and we do a 40 or 53%, we actually go a bit higher than we did at lower levels or higher levels at a smaller stored energy. The reason for this is because all of this is dynamic, which means the percentage that you see actually is percentage of the total power that you have stored up. This allows you to control just how much power you're actually using and give you a little more control over if you want to, put huge holes in the world, or if you don't want to do that. The second thing I'll explain is the colors that you see whenever it charges up here. So right now you can see there's green and there's yellow, and both of them say safe afterwards. That means our body can handle the use of that higher level of stored energy. If I were, for example, though, to add myself 100,000 stored energy, and now I use something like the 3 ability, you can immediately see we start in orange, and now we're in the red and then dark red for overuse. If I let this go, we can see it does a lot more damage, and it did a lot more range and obviously more area environment damage, but also immediately you'll notice that my arm is a little messed up from that punch. The arm being messed up is due to the fact that we have actually damaged the arm beyond repair. What I did was change the way that the body status worked from the previous video. Now it has a few more stages to each body part, and each body part is calculated with its own damage factor. So using this body status command that I added, we can, for example, see the main arm that we just used, and we can see there are now 3 different stages. There is sprained, broken, and destroyed. And right now we are in the sprained option for that. So that's why we have the little bit of red on our hand here. Right now there's no way to heal in the mod, so this will just stay like this and stay in this form. However, in the future, this can naturally regenerate or regenerate using items. And of course, there's going to be quirks that allow you to regenerate as well. So let's see if we can get into, we're going to use that smash ability again. We'll see, we start off in the orange, and we actually just got into the next stage of damage, because anything over the yellow status for the percentage is going to cause damage to our arm. And so the orange did do some damage, and that's why we've gone to the broken stage, which is what this texture is here. And I would like to say thanks to Cryptic in my Discord for adding in these cool arm broken skins here. I did the sprained version and he did this one, and honestly the broken one looks really, really cool. So thanks to him for doing that for me. So we're seeing we are able to use the smash ability quite a few times before our arm actually gives out. And if we actually use this one more time, and even in the regular overuse, it would be way too much, but here we go. We'll go critical overuse and let go. That's when we actually lose our arm there completely, and we're not able to use it anymore, just like we saw in the previous video. So let me use my brand new fancy command here to heal the missing arm. So you may be asking, what goes into the calculation here for what is considered orange, what's considered red, and what's considered dark red? So basically, what's considered the bad levels of usage? Well, I thought hard about that, and I came up with the following solution. The percentage of power that you can use is directly correlated to the amount of stamina that you have, specifically your max stamina. So if I run the debug stamina command on myself, I can see I currently have 500 stamina. If I were to increase my own stamina to a maximum of 2,000 and then activate this, you can see it actually starts in the safe zone before going into the yellow zone. So now, because my max stamina is way higher, I now have the more capacity to use higher levels of my stored power than I did before. However, if I went ahead and increased the stored power again and then go ahead and use this, now there's a bit of a chance that it's actually going to be too much for me. There we go, we've actually gotten to the orange now. So that is how I decided to try to balance out what power you can use and also incentivize the training. I was going off of the source material of Deku wasn't able to use the entire stored power that was inside of One for All, right? He had to do a bunch of body training in order to access higher levels of that stored power. So that's exactly what I'm trying to replicate by making you have to increase your max stamina in order to use higher levels of stored energy. If I'm being honest, starting off with this power, you don't have to really worry about it because your max stamina will actually grow with the stored power that you have. However, somehow you accumulated over 1,000,000 power. If you were to use quirk transfer to transfer over this power stock quirk to someone else, they would get all of your stored energy, meaning their max stamina may not be high enough to handle the actual full power of this quirk. Well, I guess I should say they can use the full power of the quirk, but they have consequences, i.e. they're going to destroy their hands. So let's see, at 1,000,000 power, we're immediately in the red overuse, but if I do this, it should be a very big explosion. Okay, that one was actually not as big as I thought it was, but it did do 86 damage. The charging leap, by the way, also does affect your legs, so if we do that, all right, there we go. We used just a little bit and it blew our legs right off. Oh, and this animation just doesn't work correctly. I don't know why it doesn't drop us to the ground like it should. There's one last thing, and that's the full cowling ability. So we can use the shift and we can actually scroll, and we can see the percentage is actually based on the safe percentage that we can use. So for full cowling, we can actually use 41%, or 39% before feeling the minor effects, and then 67 is the major effects, and 85% are the severe effects. So for full cowling, if we use this at too high of level, we'll see this actually happen. So we actually have this power stock overuse effect, and we can see it's actually destroying our legs over time, our arms and legs. So there we go. We've busted both of them, and then once they reach a certain level of destruction, there, we just lost them all. Actually, I think it does end up killing you here if we... there we go. If we were in survival mode, that full cowling actually killed you. So let me activate it here, and there we go. What percentage? We're at 7%. We can see all of our stats do increase when we scroll up. So shifting and scrolling. And then once we get into the higher statuses, that's when we actually start feeling the bad effects. So there is a small cap, a soft cap right now for the amount of health and armor that you can do. But let's see, we can do... Oh, that's 5.8, but we do have weakness, and there it actually destroyed us. Let's get this back up and see what we can do real quick for max damage. And then do this. Okay, 9.8 damage right now. Again, I'm working on getting these scales for each of the attacks and each of the increases to feel a little more natural, but that'll come in the next one as I kind of work on all of the equations that behind the scenes calculate how much power can be used and what stats it increases and whatnot. And just in case you couldn't see, let's actually put both of the legs into the broken state, because they do have broken animations for them, or not animations, but skins. And you can see I totally forgot to paint the feet the wrong color, but these different stages kind of visually represent how messed up your body is from all of the power that you used. Okay, so that's pretty much what I added for the quirk. There's a few things that are going to need to change. Specifically, all of the equations for the calculations are changing. Obviously, adding an upgrade tree, adding more abilities, that sort of thing. But I do want some of your guys' input down below. Tell me what sort of abilities do you want to see, what sort of negative side effects maybe you want to see, that sort of thing. Just let me know your opinions on all of this to see if I'm in the right track or if I need to kind of rethink what I'm doing. I guess one thing I did forget to mention is how the power stock actually interacts with the quirk factor. The way that it's going to work is the higher the stored energy you have, it's going to provide a bonus to your current quirk factor. So by itself, power stock does not use your quirk factor for any sort of calculations, but if you were to have multiple quirks, you have the ability to transfer the power of your stored energy into a higher quirk factor, which would allow you to do something like Deku, where all of his abilities are scaled because of the power that stockpile has. Also, I would like to say there is one more thing that I have been developing that did stop some of the progress on here, but that is actually going to be for a separate video. The basic gist of it is that it's an animation tool that allows making the animations for something like this very easy to do. So I'm going to make a separate video, like I said, on that once I finish up some of the different features of the tool, but that's going to be a tool that Palladium developers are going to actually hopefully be able to use for anything they make. So I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully I make more progress. I probably will. I promise I will. I promise. See you in the next one.